to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
You know, we have Tom from Tampa on the phone. Hey, Tom. Good morning. It's bright and early now, huh?
Hey, Paige. Good.
Hi, Tom.
How you guys doing, Nico?
Doing great.
Good. Hey, your newsletter's outstanding, man. I'm telling you, man, it is outstanding. And so is the Primal Edge. I love that stuff. I'd never be without it. I mean, I've been on it now 3-4 months, man. I mean, it's just, I can't get over how good I feel.
Primal Edge is, people are raving about it. People who are trying it, they know because you can feel it.
Would not be without it.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico DeHaan and Paige Clark.
Hi, I'm Nico DeHaan. Good morning and welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we explore and return to a more balanced, natural, wild world.
To regain our natural health, our rights, and our freedoms. And I'm Paige Clark. Good morning.
And it's a beautiful day in downtown Clearwater. 79 degrees, high humidity. Summer's here, and it's kind of nice.
Absolutely. And if you have any questions, please join us, contact us, and let us help you answer your questions.
Yeah, Nico at tfnn.com, Paige at tfnn.com, and we're taking your phone calls at 877-927-6648. Paige, you had some great shows last week.
Well, it wasn't the same without you.
Oh, well, thanks.
And I realized, like I told you, it's kind of like the woman who always has her husband drive or something.
Uh-huh.
I felt like, it was a little overwhelming, had a few little technological errors, but, our show producer saved the day, so everything went well.
Plus, you had some great guests.
Yes, I certainly did.
Carolyn.
Had Carolyn from Carolyn's Kitchen, and I had Stephen Klein from our Healthy Fit Club,
Yep.
so we really got to exchange some great information. But, we want to talk a little bit about what Nico DeHaan and Ellen DeHaan did
Yeah, we
on
had a
your
great
Wild
time.
West adventure.
Yeah, we took off for San Francisco on Friday morning, a week ago Friday, and a couple of glitches along the way. Naturally, flying's not too much fun these days, so there's always delays and things like that. But as it was, we arrived about a half hour after we were normally supposed to arrive. And it was nice for getting there and getting out of the way. Being in San Francisco is always wonderful, and we had a great deal at the Hyatt there. There's a Hyatt down near the airport, which is really nice to stay at. And because if you're members of that club, it's nice because they give you free breakfast and free parking. So, So the price of the Hyatt really goes down. So that was enjoyable, too. We spent a couple of days in San Francisco.
And then you went to a couple wineries.
Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about that for sure, because your first husband's winery is awesome
my
place.
son's place.
First place we went, though, after we got settled into the hotel, we went to Iggy's, which is a steakhouse in downtown San Francisco, and probably it's the best meal we had. Oh, it's just fantastic. I've been there many times.
Grass-fed beef?
All grass-fed beef, all really natural food, cooked just perfectly, and I'll tell you, those steaks are the best I've ever had anywhere in the world. Mm-hmm. Remarkable place. They're the only ones I know that really carry a blackened fillet. And it's a fatty fillet more rather than just normal fillet.
Yeah, because they're not usually as fatty.
Not as usually as fatty, so I don't eat them as much. But there I eat the fillet, and my wife, Ellen, had some prime rib, which was, she said, the best she's ever had, too. And we just really enjoyed the evening, had a little wine with it. I had little vegetables also with it. They had cream spinach they have there, homemade cream spinach, just fabulous.
Yeah, I was enjoying getting your posts while you were gone. It's like, where are they now?
So we spent the night, and then on Saturday we went down and rummaged around San Francisco, down to the wharf area, and just some old haunts that we normally go to. I had a little lunch down there and just wandered around and got our footings. And then in the evening, Ellen had a couple of friends that were from the San Mateo area, and we had dinner with them at a nice place called Kingfishers, I believe, in San Mateo. And that was very nice, too. And then Sunday, we left for the wine country.
Beautiful place. How was the weather out there?
Weather was really, really nice compared to what it was here, because, of course, we're in a humidity and hot. But there in San Francisco was in the low 70s. At night, it got to 50s, so we had our coats and sweaters on. Really a nice feeling. Once we got into wine country on Sunday, it was a little bit warmer, but it got up into around 90. But that was the only day it really got 90. They said it was like 100 the day before, so we were kind of following the Florida weather, but then it got cooler, and it was really good. Monday, we went to see Joseph Sellers, which was your ex-husband.
Yeah, my son's father has a wonderful winery.
And your son hooked me up, Austin.
Austin
guy.
and he was out there.
Austin,
my son was out there visiting his dad, and so Joe and Nicole of josephsellers.com, if you ever get out to Napa, go get a cave tour.
Well, they just opened, too, which was really cool.
I mean, they've been working for 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been wholesaling the grapes, been making their own wine, but they went through a lot of stuff with the zoning. They just opened, but the caves aren't they amazing? I mean,
amazing caves, and
a cave.
Joe, who explained the whole process and how these caves were made and how they were hollowed out and how they were sprayed and what they were doing in the caves and how they were, keeping the wine in there and changing the casks over, and really explained a lot about winemaking.
Oh.
And that's an education in itself, and how you get to be a premier winemaker with natural wine and that whole process. And it was really fascinating.
And they're not just making their own wines; they're actually if you notice, they have a lot of other ventures who are actually aging.
That's what's paying the bills for him right now. He said.
That's fantastic.
Awesome guy. I didn't get to meet Nicole. She was out of town.
Busy with.
But Austin, of course, we had a blast.
Yes.
Your son is a remarkable young man.
Yeah.
Really nice guy.
Great.
And he hooked us up, and we bought a case of wine off of him. Too, so.
They were happy to hear that. Enjoy.
And we also went to a couple other wineries that we normally go to. We're really mainly looking for Pinots and some little bit of Cabernets and some Zinfandels and things like that. Mostly reds, all reds actually. But that was really enjoyable, and we just kind of sightseeing.
Did you go soak in the mud at Calistoga?
No, we didn't do that.
You know about that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, let me tell you something.
I want to do that, but we just didn't have a chance. We had too much on our plate, I think.
Well, you know what happened to me when I went to Calistoga and I soaked in that tub?
Yeah.
I got panicked.
Oh, really?
I felt claustrophobic because the mud was so thick and so heavy.
Yeah.
And
I've heard people say that before.
I was like looking forward to it. Like I thought it was going to be the most awesome thing, and then when I got in there, I paid for it. And
if you're claustrophobic,
out.
That's probably something that you have to get used to a little bit.
How about hot air balloons?
In fact, I looked out the window. The first thing we were staying at the Westin down in Calistoga there, and I looked out the back window, and boom, there was a balloon going up. My Ellen had just talked to me about the night before. She says, "Oh, there's balloon rides here and all that stuff." She says, "Yeah, but they get up too early. We're not getting up that early." And
because you're on vacation.
Yeah, but I woke up like at 6 a.m. and looked out the window, and there was one taking off. I goes, "Oh, cool."
And that's really kind of the key thing. Here you were doing what really we need to do more of, is to get some R&R and to pull back and take some time with your loved ones and disconnect, so you can kind of reconnect
was really
together.
The key. Once we left the Napa and Sonoma Valley, we went up to Fort Bragg to a bed and breakfast up there. Fabulous, called the Country Inn Bed and Breakfast. And talk about peaceful. The first thing Ellen said, "Oh, this is amazing," because of course no TV, no connections. They did have Wi-Fi if you wanted to do that, but we pretty much stayed disconnected and lounged around, went for lots of walks. Not a lot to do in Fort Bragg except taking those hikes, which were tremendous. Taking the skunk train, which was was an hour ride up and down through the redwoods, which was very nice. But the real interesting part, there was a band of people who started doing these collections of model trains. And they had all got together, and behind the skunk train, there's a big open warehouse where they laid tracks. And I put it on Facebook, a little video on the train. And that was
so much fun.
That was a lot of fun. Took me back to my childhood because I was...
Welcome back to Living a Primal Lifestyle, and we're continuing our talk here. I'm living vicariously through Nico and Ellen's West Coast adventure.
Yeah, rambling on, and my earpiece was out, so I didn't even hear the break there. But
well, you know what? Can you show us a couple pictures? Because I really enjoy seeing,
fascinating about the redwood trees is that when lightning strikes them, they get hollowed out, and there's a fire in there. And what happens is these shoots are actually the same tree, just coming from the same root.
Wow.
I never knew that before, but yeah, fantastic trees. It was just some of these pictures.
Were you actually in Muir Woods? Did you go to Muir Woods?
No, Muir Woods is just outside of San Francisco.
Yeah.
No, we
These were a
had
little
been
farther
there
north.
before. Yeah, this is a little farther north. There is one place I wanted to mention.
Always the pictures of the food.
Yeah, this is Headlands Coffee House.
You said that was the best coffee you've ever had.
Best espresso I've ever had there.
Nice.
We let them know
put that on the put that on the list. What town was that in? Fort Bragg.
That was in Fort Bragg. Yeah, this was at a place in Fort Bragg.
Nice primal meal.
Yeah,
looking good.
Yeah, about the meals was really nice because we ate a lot, and I was. Of course, we didn't get on the scale or anything like that. I was thinking, boy, I'm eating, 3 times a day. Normally, I just eat twice a day, and the food was so fantastic. So we had breakfast any morning. We'd probably stop for lunch most times at any little place that seemed good, and then we always planned a really nice meal in the evening with some wine and stuff. But pretty much stuck to what we did. We did have some desserts, mostly chocolate kind of things, but stuck to the meat and a little bit of vegetables. Had no starches whatsoever. Ate a little bit of the sourdough bread.
Well, you were moving a lot, walking a lot, and you also went hiking.
Yeah, we did a lot of walking. In fact, when I went to my studio yesterday morning, I weighed myself. I was 4 pounds under.
Well, you know what? I believe many times when we disconnect and we get that time to get away and enjoy our relaxation and be with our loved ones, the stress levels go down.
Yes.
And the results are better than what you would expect.
And the nice thing in the bed and breakfast, of course, we went to bed as the sun went down. So, 9 o'clock at night, we were already in bed, waking with the sun going up, a cool breeze going through the bed and breakfast, which was really nice.
I bet you Ellen enjoyed it, too, because I know she's got a really intense business job as a lawyer.
Even during our vacations, a lot of time, because she's kind of working for herself here, she's doing lots of things, and people are calling her, and she's, attending to those things as much as she can, but she did disconnect quite a bit, and thank goodness, and it really did her a lot of good. Did me a lot of good, too. Being in a different place than Florida is nice because the scenery is completely different.
Well, I'm working on planning my little escape, so stay posted.
Yeah, well, I think these things are important. I think our modern life is way too stressful. We do way too many things. We're used to working too many hours instead of the 3 or 4 hour. I think that is normal for human beings. We're here on an 8 to 10 hour shift most of the time.
And there's that perception that you're lazy if you're working. I think it's working smarter, not harder.
Well,
but there are, people are like, oh, well, you're just not productive. But really what we have to do is figure out how to have that Tim Ferriss 4-hour work week.
I think so. I think it's much better.
And that's even better than a 4-hour work day, but a 4-hour work week.
That would be wonderful. 4 day, I always thought 3 or 4 days is enough, and then we need that 3 or 4 day break. But,
well, hey, I want to go over this article that came through the news feed, and it was from Greatest. The article says the massive fitness trend that's not actually healthy at all.
Yeah.
And I thought, let's talk about this, Nico, because you and I both have shared our concerns about overtraining or pushing and creating more stress. We just talked about disconnecting so that we can get more grounded.
It's part of our culture these days. I think most people overtrain. CrossFit is one example. There are a lot of other sports like the marathons, which if you're doing marathons after marathons and you're doing that for 30 years, probably not healthy.
You can really get depleted, absolutely.
Yeah, you can definitely get depleted. Our work is stressful, and then we add upon that our ability to be physical. And it's ability that we have, but do we necessarily have to deplete that every single workout?
Right. Is exhaustion really a status symbol?
Right.
Is overworking a status symbol? It appears that some people feel it is. Is training hard a status symbol? And here's a quote. There's a massive trend in the fitness industry to glorify exercise as an all-out war on the body. We've militarized working out. We've dissected the body parts into building a bicep and building a tricep and cutting those abs and building those glutes. And we're looking at it in a segmented way instead of a holistic way. And we really embrace getting back to those primal moves that we do every day.
Sure.
It's just in the course of living life.
Yeah. Remember that as a species, we really started out doing exercise as play as a child. And carry that through hunting and gathering food and making shelters and getting away from our enemies, predators. That's the natural way of fitness, and that's how we evolved as fit human beings. Maybe the last 5 or 10,000 years we're less fit because of the whole idea that our food is connected to our economy. And I think that's a wrong type of mindset, because I think food really is a community. And the way we have our food system, and this is getting a little away about our fitness trend, but if you bear with me, there's a connection there because our food is a community-based. That's how we evolved as a community. We even in families. Okay, but larger
it was
communities.
A big part of just what we were doing. Everything revolved around the collection, sharing of food.
Right, and now we've segregated that because no longer do we get our food from our community. We get food from foreign countries, from the different parts of the country. It makes no sense economically. First of all, it costs a lot more to move food around. Why not have it where you're growing it? And we always tell all our clients and our audience that food really is to be local, it's to be seasonal, and when you look at it that way, that changes what you're eating completely.
Right, and really coming back to this, much of our exercise was in the gathering and the sharing, the preparing of the food.
And the playing of games.
And the playing of games and making it fun. And today, now, we have, because our exercise is disconnected from our food, which is kind of what Nico was saying here, we're regimenting our exercise, and we're being chronically exhausted is not really the key to success. So many people feel that they have to work out to exhaustion, and the problem is they're not creating that period of relaxation, as we talked about earlier, and we mean in between your exercise events.
And when you say exercise to exhaustion, we're exercising to exhaustion slowly. Which is even worse.
Right.
Because if we're doing, we're taking a sprint over 100 yards and then have time to recover and do it again, that is to exhaustion because you're going as fast as you can for that short amount of distance. You're exhausted and then you recover. But to do that for hours on end makes no sense. You wouldn't do that to your car. Just run it down, run it down, run it down without any maintenance and without any rest.
Listen to this. This is great from the article. Being chronically exhausted is not the key to success. It's a race towards disease and dysfunction. And the Dr. Meyer Friedman, he's the man who typed that word, type A personality. He calls this Western disease of working to exhaustion the hurry sickness.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. Another thing we wanted to mention, Al had put up that Vax, the movie about vaccination, is going to be shown this weekend locally at the Child's Park YMCA located at 691 43rd Street South in St. Petersburg. So if you're a local person, if you're not, of course, you can look at your area and see where the movie Vaxxed is.
And I want to share with you that I did see the movie Vaxxed. Everyone needs to see the movie Vaxxed. It's not an anti-vaccination movie. It's an anti-fraud of the CDC. And we all need to be aware if the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, is not providing us with the information we need to know about it. Go see it.
Number here is 877-927-6648. Give us a call, folks. Welcome back, folks. Nico and Paige here. The Dalai Lama, when asked about what surprised him most about humanity, answered man because he sacrifices his health in order to make money. Then he sacrifices money to reciprocate his life.
To recuperate.
Excuse me. And then he is so anxious about the future that he does not enjoy the present. The result being that he does not live in the present or the future. He lives as if he is never going to die, and then dies never really having to live.
Oh, that's a goosebumpy type of part of wisdom. And that's kind of what we're talking about. We get in a hurry, we do things, we stay in a chronic state of stress, even when we're doing exercise, even when we're supposed to be disconnecting. That's what this show's kind of been about today. The importance of disconnecting, the importance of making our playtime a little bit less stressful, and that's not what's happening today.
Well, we don't have playtime in a lot of instances. In schools, they've pretty much cut it out. I know some schools are bringing it back, but it was important, enjoyable part of school for me was going to recess. And doing sports, of course.
And it's kind of this cultural pathology that we're talking about can be summed up easily. Too much yang, not enough yin. Too much doing, not enough being. Too much work, not enough play. Too masculine, not enough feminine. So I agree that this aggression that we see in the gym is kind of, look what's going on in our society. The aggression in the gym is kind of transposing into our society.
Yes, and the militarization of fitness, too, because of the boot camps and all this stuff.
Let's talk about how does the militarization of fitness affect your workouts and what's going on?
It puts you in a different mindset.
It does.
And certainly when we were talking about martial arts, we're talking about military. But there is a whole different bag. The military part of it is the respect that you get from your people that you're fighting. The people that are teaching you, people that are listening, the bowing in, the respect that you have when you shake hands and meet on the mat, and then the physical exercise of learning how to do these techniques and then actually using them in a free-all type of fight. Very, very important, but also what's stressed in there is the relaxation. You fight for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and then you rest for a while, and then you can do it again, and it's all up to you. You base it on what you're supposed to be, your own little rhythm of life, but always having the instructors and the black belts there to support you and
that's
to
teaching and educating.
Educating on a one-to-one level. It's even better than the classes is getting with your buddy, fighting, and then going over what you did wrong and how they submitted you or how you submitted them, those types of things, and how much fun that is. We have all these statements in our workouts that people say, no pain, no gain.
Well, yeah, do you believe in the following? This gives you an idea if you kind of have this militarization of exercise. So, yeah, no pain, no gain.
And the answer to that was really no pain, no brain.
Like
because
that.
if you're not paying attention to your pain, you're not using your brain, and then you don't know when to stop.
Yes, and you're falling into that trap. And more is always more, not the.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
More is,
less is more, and many times, as we've learned in intermittent training or burst training, less is more. Doing a little less, but doing a little more intensely, and giving yourself that proper time to recuperate. Working out is not fun, but it's an obligation.
And I think a lot of people look at, I've missed a workout, and then you punish yourself for it mentally, which comes out physically later on.
Right, and long term, that doesn't help you stick to it, because if it's not enjoyable, you don't.
And here's another one that says if you don't almost throw up, you're holding back too much. That's
a big thing in the CrossFit thing, isn't it? That you might have a need to purge yourself.
I've never heard it. I don't know anybody that does that, but if you're in that mode, you're doing it completely wrong, for sure. You're only as good as your last workout. No, not necessarily, because your last workout might be a nice, pleasurable detuning of some kind.
And you feel like, or if you feel like a loser, if you missed a workout, you're not a loser. You just missed a workout, so you just get up and do it again.
Yeah. Well, I've often I plan my workouts usually, and I plan to work out and do something just about every day, but I don't. I miss them, and it's fine, because I'll say to myself, I'm not working, I don't feel like doing it. It's the wrong mindset, and I don't mind if during the whole time I was on vacation, I didn't think about working out or going to the gym. We walked, and that was enough. And normally, I think that's the way to go on vacation. Walking is plenty. That's your resting. You're recovering while you're walking. At the same time, you're still being physical. Our normal, Homo erectus, where we came from, we're the walking man.
So, if we know that training to this excess is not the only option, what are some other options? There are many other options.
Yep.
And, one of them is to decide that learning about the body and what it takes to nourish, strengthen, and heal it, it's a lifetime process. It's an adventure. It's exploration. It's play. It's fun.
When you get into some of the...
It's not a military thing.
No, but if you get into some of the things like yoga, Pilates, these kind of... really difficult but slow-moving types of movements, you start to learn more about your body than if you go to a CrossFit or just go into the gym and do whatever somebody tells you to do. Going into these types of workshops is a learning experience, because you start really learning how your body functions. And I think that's so important for people to realize that it's just not about going out there, going wild and doing all these crazy exercises. It's about learning how to do things correctly so you won't injure yourself. And it actually helps repair your body, because exercise, I think, is more about repairing and getting your body into a condition so it'll be relaxed.
I want to talk a little bit about dancing. And dancing is a phenomenal way to get in shape. And I look at people who dance for fun, and they're always, they look like they have great shape. And my neuromuscular therapist, Mark Calandro, if anybody's in the Tampa Bay area, you need to go see Mac Therapies, Mark Calandro. One of the first things he tells people is, do you ever go dancing? And he does an analysis and shows us how this movement of our hips is really important for the movement of our cerebral spinal fluid and all of our joints and so forth. So dancing is a great way to...
As kids, we always danced. My parents were always dancers. We did lots of folk dancing, learned to waltz when I was young. My dad taught me foxtrot, all these little different dances. He was a great dancer. I always enjoyed the dancing, and I think modern days we get away from it unless you go to one of these crazy clubs. And,
well, again, that's part of that whole socialization thing.
Yeah.
So dancing is a great way to get fit, and we got to splash it in with play. That's really kind of goes into the category of play.
Well, it certainly is in our heritage. In Holland, everybody danced, but if you go back thousands of years, we go around the campfire, and that's what we did in the evenings.
Yeah. The dancing, the drum circles.
Because we were telling stories then. We're telling stories about our heritage, what to watch out for, what to learn as you age, and these are really important.
Sharing of information in a social way.
It all involves together. So I think as you look into exercise, I think you have to look at it a completely different way. Look at it as a pleasure. Look at it as something that you're doing. It's kind of like eating.
It's a way to play and listening to how your body responds and how it feels. And it's not about driving to excess. You can reach your goals easier if you are aware and look at your limits and incorporate them in your life.
Yeah. Are you willing to destroy your body and look super hot at age 30, or are you willing to take a deeper look, explore the less is more philosophy, and let go of the no pain, no gain programming, and let your health, strength, and goals evolve in a natural way? And this way you get a lot more adventure in your life, and I think you'll enjoy it a lot more.
And we agree. And we got to take a break now, so we'll see you shortly after the break.
Yeah, please pick up some Primal Edge, pick up our newsletter, have a new one coming out next week, and there's a lot of great stuff in the old one, so take a look at that, please, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, folks. Nico and Paige here on Living a Primal Lifestyle, and we're talking about exercise and over-exercising, and now the other part of it is, of course, getting enough rest.
R&R, just like you did, and we should be doing it every day.
And I think vacation times, I know in Europe they have, most countries give people a month off.
They certainly don't move at the same pace that we do here.
No, and in fact in Holland they pay you for 13 months.
Mm-hmm.
And 1 month is an extra paycheck, plus you get a month off, so you actually get 2
The
free
vacation
months.
time is where we're used to 2 weeks. It's more like 6 to 8.
2 weeks if lucky. I know Ellen mentioned that this is the first vacation in 3 years for her. Everything else was business related, so it's really important to have this break. But what we do not realize, I think, is that we need more rest than we normally do. I think our society is pushing us and pushing us and pushing us.
And our primal ancestors actually worked less than 20 hours a week, leaving most of their time daily for reconnecting with family, having fun and play. And what we want to do is find out how we can get back and look at a couple of tips that we can take on how we can realize what truly rested feels like and how we can accomplish this. What do you have for us, Nico?
Well, there's a nice list that Mark Sesson had put on his on this blog.
marksdailyapple.com.
Yeah, and the first thing he says, go to bed regardless of your to-do list. And that's hard for some people to do.
Oh, boy, yeah. Those of us that tend to feel like we have to stay up late because we got so much to do.
Yeah.
Maybe instead we should be going to bed so we can get up because we have so much to do and
well,
follow
not only
the
that, I
sun's
think
schedule.
after dinner, I think is a good time to have that relaxation time for yourself, whether you're reading or just putting something in a journal, those types of things. I think it's important that we do need rest and just put things aside. Our regular work schedule will wait.
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think so, too. And reground yourself. Connect to the earth. A lot of people don't understand that our disconnection from the earth is what makes us feel stressed so much. We need those energies from the earth to feel relaxed.
Earthing is something that people find a little complicated, but if you put your feet in the grass in front of your house or in the back of your house and just stand there for a few minutes, you can feel it immediately. I mean, there is an immediate result there.
I think that's one of the reasons we feel so good when we go to the beach, because we're actually laying on the crystal sands and our whole body. So better than just our feet, why not just dive into the grass and lay down? I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. Another one is meditate, and we've often talked about meditation and just dialing back and spending even just 10 minutes of silence and trying to get those thoughts out of your mind, which
try and silence down the monkey mind.
Yeah, well, we always have the importance of our brain, the importance of thinking, and actually thinking a lot of times gets in the way. I mean, if you're in the middle of a highway and you're standing and there's a bus coming at you and it's 3 feet away, do you need time to think, or do you just act? Mm-hmm. Because thinking is the first step that you think to acting, but no, acting is
That's not
immediately.
being. When you're thinking,
That's right.
You're projecting into the future,
So
not being present.
Learning survival skills like that is one of the most important things in today's society, with all that's going on, with the biggest terror event in United States history now. You've got people being scared again, and I think it's time to just reevaluate where you go and what you do.
I agree. And remember the power of sound. There's lots of research that shows the healing power of sound. And our bodies show a definite response to certain sounds. So look for those sounds, and many of those sounds are found in nature.
Well, and also we know that because of music, we know that because of drumming. Our ancient ancestors used drums all over the world, on every continent. There's a reason that they use this, and they use this in medicine as well. And I know when I first connected with you, Paige, that one of the first things I noticed is that you use sound and frequency as healing.
To me, everything that's natural, thank you. To me, everything that's natural, light and sound, are really different expressions of the same thing, and we respond because we are energetic beings, so thank you. And that's very important.
Yep.
The other thing is, we mentioned taking yourself outside, and just sometimes taking these small breaks through the day can really help balance out some of the stress you're feeling.
That's for sure. And, we have these little rituals that we do in the morning and in the evening, and I think they're very important for relaxation. So in the morning when you go through your regular routine, I always think really positive things, and I'm kind of saying, okay, what am I going to be up to today? But it's a relaxed time. I give myself an hour and a half before I really have to leave the door.
Grace and gratitude period.
Yeah, and the same thing at night. Shut that TV off a couple of hours before you go to bed. Sit and maybe take a sauna or do something right for yourself. There's lots of stretching and little activities that you can do. Have a cup of tea, relax, read a book. Many, many things that you can do to help you relax and to get you in that more type of rhythm that is much more natural to us than this hustle bustle that we're doing in our new modern society.
How about solitude? How many of you realize that sometimes you can get more relaxation just by giving yourself that time alone? Not to be afraid to be alone, but understand that solitude gives you a great opportunity to reconnect with the source and get that peace of mind. I think it's important to realize solitude is not something to view just as being lonely, but as a great time to do a lot of good stuff.
No,
for
I
yourself.
think alone time is one of the more important things for people to do, and I always enjoy my alone time when I come home and there's nobody there. It's a blessing, and and I know when my wife comes home, that'll be another blessing. But in the meantime, when I'm alone, I can get things done. I can just kind of lay around if I want to, or anything else.
I like the next one though.
What's that?
Pamper yourself.
Yeah.
Those times, go get your little pedicure, male, female, whatever. Those things that make you feel like you're taking care of yourself, because you are taking care of yourself. So those are good action items to take.
And here when he says observe a Sabbath, and I like the way he does it. So no matter what your religious affiliation may be, a Sabbath is kind of a time to...
A day of R&R.
Yeah. I always had, when I was in sales, I would always have Friday afternoons free for a relaxation, hanging out with a buddy or something like that, because I felt like Fridays was the start of that weekend. My Sabbath was always Saturday, and Friday was always the stepping off point to that. And I think we need to really dial ourselves back and relax, and we can take a moment and take a deep breath too.
Right, take a deep breath. And I think we don't realize how much we don't breathe. Check yourself here and there. Take a moment, breathe in deep, fill your lungs all the way to the bottom, and then exhale fully. And then you can really get a good idea that you're exchanging old air.
I like that.
Really kind of many times is sitting there. when we get anxious, we tend to breathe just out of this part of our lungs.
Mm-hmm.
And then the muscles contract there, and it creates tightness.
Yeah.
So when you truly belly breathe, I think we shared that on one of the shows,
Yeah.
that the Buddha belly is not a sign of excess or food. It's a sign of a full breath, a full belly breath.
Sign of strength also.
Sign of strength, correct. Yeah.
Make sure your after hours are truly off the clock. Usually if you're in business and handling emergency, you need to leave your work. So if you're one of those people that work at home, you need to be able to
You have to
separate
have some time frames that you shut it
Yep.
down and disconnect
Yep.
from the business side. And make that day off really a day off. And that's what you were talking about,
Yes.
creating that time where you say,
Yep.
hey, I'm done after Friday. That's kind of there's some companies that are doing that now.
Mm-hmm.
They're taking, and like Thursday afternoons, maybe they have happy hour with their employees. I think that's great. Creating a culture of rest and relaxation, disconnecting from the stress. And
Yeah, and there's a few more on here I'd like to go over, so
we can go over to
continue
the
this.
next break.
Yeah, the number here is 877-927-6648. Please pick up some Primal Edge, pick up a new newsletter coming out on Tuesday, and Paige and I will return in a moment. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Either one of us, we're both open up. What doesn't matter? We've been talking about how to get some rest and relaxation and rejuvenation, how important it is. It's just as important as the crazy exercise that we often do. And Nico, I really like some of these things, and we have to remind ourselves to do these things.
Yeah,
more
one of
often.
them is laugh as much as you can. And with all the tragedies that go on and stressful life, we sometimes don't take a moment for humor. I think humor is a huge thing. But also here, number 17, he talks about taking a tech holiday. And this is an important thing, and it's certainly one of the things we did when we got to Fort Bragg. And it's liberating. And then all of a sudden you start realizing there are other things out there besides our little gadgets.
And before we had all these gadgets, we seemed to do just fine.
Yeah.
You and I often talk about those things we did. The screen door was flapping, you'd run outside and
Yeah.
you'd never come home. And in fact, you didn't even care about the TV show. Maybe after you got your bath and you were all so tired,
all
you'd watch a
secondary
half an
stuff.
hour, right? Yeah.
And we didn't have reruns, or we didn't have copying and pasting and all these things where you can see things over and over again. We just saw it when we saw it, and a lot of times we didn't see it.
Yes.
Napping often, huge thing. I think naps are important, and I think you get more into the tropics. I think it's a more of a cultural thing, and I think that's an important thing.
There's something here I saw, number 19. Take back those found minutes. And many people use that as a way to squeeze in more work.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe those are the minutes that you take to practice your breathing. That you're at the doctor's office and they're running behind. Why don't you just go step outside and do a couple deep breathing movements?
Yeah, when I went to my friend to get some relief from my itching from
Right.
the vines.
Poison ivy or poison oak.
Poison oak, yeah. It was a busy room when I got there. And there was one guy there, and he was just there like that, and he had his eye closed. Reminded me kind of a Buddha or something, that he wasn't watching the TV. Everybody else was on their gadget, and he was there relaxing, and I thought,
That's a
this
perfect
guy-
example of
that's
taking
exactly-
back those found minutes and use them for your ability to disconnect.
Yeah. Here's another one, take a retreat at least once a year.
And you did that.
I did that, and I think we're planning another one coming up in a couple of months.
I
and-
say do it twice a year.
Yeah, I'd say do it as often as you can, maybe quarterly is, Learn to read. One of the things that is probably not happening as much in our society. We read those 140 words, but as far as reading a novel and sitting down and reading a book and enjoying that every day, not so much happening.
That's true. And, we can learn to disconnect by giving our calendar, monitor our calendar, but leave it as a structure. Give some days where we're not constantly living by the calendar.
Yeah, it's like that Friday afternoon. My Friday afternoons from noon on are always free.
So you booked it as an appointment.
I booked it as an
Basically.
appointment. I said, this is my time, and I've done that for years, and it's really worked well. And you can do that at any particular time. You see something that's not happening on your calendar, doesn't mean you have to go to the gym or fill it up. It means you can just relax or do some research on your own or do something that really you enjoy. And we need to really enjoy our life. We have a lot of stresses in our modern society, and I think it's too much. We need to detune. We need to do all these things that we're just learning about, learning to read and doing those things.
And not feeling guilty. There are a lot of people, as I mentioned, that tend to feel almost guilty, like, oh, I'm really sorry, I just needed a break. Well, that's actually true. We all need those breaks,
Yep.
and we need to plan them. And when we realize that the stress has gotten too high, it's better. You're going to perform better if you give yourself that readjustment, that time to recalibrate yourself, so that you can be healthier and perform better as you dive back into the rat race.
Yeah. And that's what I'm doing, diving back in here,
And-
going back to jiu-jitsu today, and life is very good. It's a really enjoyable vacation, and but I'm glad I'm back, and
right.
I really miss doing the shows with you.
Well, we missed you here too.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, because you kind of keep it all running smooth. So we hope you have a smooth running rest of your day and week, and we'll see you the next show on Living a Primal Lifestyle.
Take a little time to detune, folks. Thanks a lot for sticking
See you
around.
next time.
Bye-bye.
You're watching Tiger TV.